The biggest party of the summer is fast approaching us, with the WWE hosting arguably its biggest event next to WrestleMania. However, there are still plenty of rumours surrounding what will happen at the event, what matches might be added, and who will be making surprise appearances. Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at the latest rumours surrounding the biggest party of the summer. Number 1. Rowdy Ronda's return at SummerSlam? There's a lot of talk about Ronda Rousey returning to the WWE soon, possibly as early as this Sunday at SummerSlam. Tom Collahue recently reported, similar to what I've heard and reported for SK Pro Wrestling, from what I told, Paul Heyman's new role has very much encouraged Rousey's desire to return sooner rather than later. Forbes' Blake Ostreicher hypothesizes that Paul Heyman's affiliation with Rousey could lead to her coming back very soon. Rousey worked hand in hand with Heyman during her previous WWE run, and the two have a strong working relationship that can be rekindled now that Heyman is the executive director of Raw. It's no coincidence, after all, that all of the stars Heyman works hands-on with have been getting sizable pushes as of late, a list that includes Rousey, Evans, Aleister Black, and of course Brock Lesnar. The best possible explanation behind Lesnar winning the Universal Championship for a third time at Extreme Rules is that Heyman pushed for it, both because of his close relationship with Lesnar and his belief that Lesnar will be a bigger draw as Raw's top champion than Seth Rollins was in that same role. As Heyman begins to gain more and more influence over WWE's creative process, it certainly stands to reason that his favourites, the Lesnars, Blacks and Rouseys of the world, are going to get massive pushes at the top of the card. Don't be surprised if Becky injures Natalya at SummerSlam, leading to Natalya's friend Ronda Rousey running in and reigniting her feud with the man. Number 2. Another female wrestler returning? Another female wrestler who's rumoured to be returning to the WWE is Sasha Banks, who's been gone from television since WrestleMania 35, when she and Bayley dropped the Women's Tag Team Championship. Depending on what narrative you subscribe to, Banks and the WWE both are working the fans into thinking she's been unhappy with the company since dropping the titles, or she is actually upset that the Boss and Hug Connection's title reign was short-lived. According to Brad Shepard, Banks is back and she's returning this Sunday. According to a source in WWE, Sasha Banks is currently scheduled to make a return this Sunday at SummerSlam. Fans are wondering whether Banks will work some sort of program against Bayley, a storyline which has been teased over the last year, but don't rule out a program against Becky Lynch or even Ronda Rousey to see who gets a shot at Lynch. The women's division could be heating up again, which is good because it's been relatively flat, whether it's the Raw Women's Championship or the non-existent Women's Tag Team Championship. With any luck, the Boss's absence has revitalized her and prepared her for another main event run. Number 3. Seth Rollins the ultimate underdog? Fans are wondering why the WWE had Seth Rollins return for more punishment on the 5th August 2019 Raw after Lesnar brutalized him the week before. With the WWE Universe slowly turning on Rollins, word has it that the WWE wants to build him up as a gutsy underdog who never quits. The problem is the credibility gap being created as Lesnar is near invincible when his challengers are 100% and Rollins right now is around 10%. Right now, the WWE continues to rewrite storylines at the last minute, and there's been no predictions by any reliable wrestling news sources as to who will prevail. The only credible news is that Paul Heyman is big on Brock Lesnar, and as Heyman's creative input increases, his favourites will likely be involved in big angles. Whether this means he'll continue holding the Universal Championship is unknown. Number 4. The WWE drops a storyline going into SummerSlam. Fans wondering what Daniel Bryan's big career-altering announcement was going to be may have to shelve it alongside questions such as who raised the briefcase on Stone Cold Steve Austin at 1999's King of the Ring ladder match, and who was driving the white Hummer that drove into Randy Savage's limo in WCW, or the obvious one, who threw the pie at Kevin Owens. According to PW Insider's Mike Johnson, the WWE is dropping the angle with Bryan. It also appears to be dropping a major match originally set to feature Bryan, as number 5, Roman Reigns match pulled. As you may have heard, the WWE was originally going to pit Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. However, with SummerSlam just days away, that doesn't look to be happening, and while the WWE can announce a match at the last second, it looks as if the company is holding off. Does that mean Reigns won't appear at SummerSlam in the ring? It's definitely possible, as the WWE has yet to put the big dog into a full-time schedule, but it's also possible Reigns may get booked into a match that night. The WWE's habit for scheduling pay-per-view matches at the last moment is well known to anyone who watches a show go from 8 matches one day to 11 the day of the show. Roman's absence may also have to do with the next rumour. As number 6, don't expect to see the Demon. While you can bet your home that WWE is eventually going to have Finn Bálor adopt his demon character to battle the Fiend Bray Wyatt, don't expect to see the Demon show up at SummerSlam despite it being a high-profile event. Plus, this might be the first time the Demon hasn't appeared at SummerSlam. With this being the first match in what should be a lengthy feud between the two, it doesn't make sense to put a rarely seen character on stage, especially with no suggestion he's even performing as the Demon. It will happen, but not this Sunday. The Demon character has a very high winning percentage, but it makes more sense to book Bálor as the Demon later on in the feud, preferably after Bálor is unable to defeat Wyatt without the Demon. Number 7. Rowan, did he or didn't he do it? If Buddy Murphy is to believe, the backstage calamity that almost took out Roman Reigns on SmackDown was caused by Rowan. However, Mike Johnson and other sources are reporting last night's SmackDown ended with a reveal that Rowan was responsible for the attacks on Roman Reigns, but we are told that that might not be 100% set in stone as other ideas have been pitched. Reigns is slated to wrestle Daniel Bryan on a ton of live events coming out of SummerSlam. As WrestleLamia speculated in our video on potential Roman Reigns attackers, the WWE could tease the true identity of Reigns' attacker for several more weeks. It's conceivable Reigns might even suffer another attack at SummerSlam before or after any potential match. SummerSlam could be a good way of continuing interest in the storyline and getting viewers to tune into Raw and SmackDown to see how it plays out. Brad Shepard recently tweeted about Daniel Bryan, noting, "I'm told WWE is going all out with Daniel Bryan as a ruthless, vindictive, hateful heel." This of course would play in perfectly to the recent attacks on Roman Reigns, with Bryan perhaps not being directly involved but directing other wrestlers to do so, playing the ultimate mastermind. It's too early to tell, but this could be a great role for Bryan as he assembles a faction of heels such as Rowan and Buddy Murphy to do his dirty work. Number 8. No Usos at SummerSlam. Don't count on seeing Roman Reigns' cousins Jimmy and Jey Uso at SummerSlam, as although the WWE would like to put the talented tag team into a match, both men's DUI arrests are likely keeping them from crossing into Canada. Canada is serious about keeping people out of its country with certain criminal records, and for the WWE it's probably not worth the trouble to get them into the country for one match when there are so many other tag teams available. This might even be seen as an indirect punishment for Jimmy Uso's recent DUI arrest in Florida. And number 9, what other matches for SummerSlam? SummerSlam is rumoured to be running 6 hours and it currently has 10 matches scheduled. And be sure to check out our upcoming video for all your SummerSlam match predictions. So unless the WWE decides to give extra time for its wrestlers to tell their stories in the ring, possible but not probable, we're likely to see more matches. So far, there's no Intercontinental Championship defense or any title defenses for either the men's tag team titles or the women's tag belts. It's very likely the WWE will put in at least one tag team title defense for the men, but as for the women, they're lucky to even have a tag team title if the recent story is true. According to Tom Colohue, a WWE source told him, "Vince didn't want women's tag titles. He was under a lot of pressure, so we brought them in early without thinking much about it. There was no plan. We still don't know if there is any plan." Colohue added, "The women's tag titles were supposedly brought in prematurely. One source suggested this was to appease Banks, whereas another just cited horrible timing for their lack of use thus far. I've been told previously by other sources that women's tag team title segments have been cut from SmackDown Live in the past to make way for alternative content, particularly in light of the wildcard rule taking up additional television time. It's also believed that a lot of bad luck went into the Iconics title reign, a factor which some people considered very unfair. This could have been the ultimate reason why we saw a women's tag team title match on Monday Night Raw rather than SummerSlam, but any possible additional matches could include Shinsuke Nakamura defending his Intercontinental Championship against Ali, the OC defending the Raw Tag Team Championship against former champions The Revival, and the New Day's Xavier Woods and Biggie defending their SmackDown Tag Team Championship against Rowan and Daniel Bryan. You may even see a Roman Reigns vs Buddy Murphy match that builds off Roman's mystery assailant, or could it be assailants? You can definitely count on some 24/7 championship backstage bits as well, rounding up all the lower to mid-card wrestlers for a pay-per-view payday. But there you have it guys, all the dirt on SummerSlam 2019. What rumours have you heard, and what do you think of the ones mentioned here? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.